everybody. How's it going? It's very nice to see you all. I can barely see you, though. I just made a lady backstage run very fast because I didn't have my clicker. But it turns out I don't even need it for the beginning of the talk. I want to talk today about some pretty practical stuff. So I apologize if it won't be super inspirational. I want to talk about partnerships and how nobody's doing this by themselves anymore. And so a lot of times you end up chatting with and working with great organizations or not so great organizations or just other people. And you will sometimes have contracts involved in that process. So I want to talk about the worst, one of the worst feelings of being a creator, which is that feeling when you think, am I getting screwed right now? And you're not even sure if it's happening. Like, there's three ways that it could be. Like, either, well, there's one way where that is the ideal way, where everyone's benefiting mutually. And we need partnerships. We need to work together with people, so there's that way. There's the way where maybe you're getting taken advantage of and you don't even know it. And then there's the way where you're getting taken advantage of and you do know it. And then there's the way where you're not getting taken advantage of, but you think you are. And all of those are bad feelings, except for the one where it's all good and everyone's mutually benefiting. And I want to talk about how to try to get to that one, because it's one of the worst feelings in the world when you realize that you have entered into a situation where you have to now fulfill obligations while knowing that you are not benefiting and that you have been sucked into something that you don't like. So, yeah, all those things are bad, but partnerships are great. And now I'm going to put my book away because I have my presentation now. I'm just going to put it on the floor. So the title of my talk is How to Not Get Fucked. It's the most important, one of the most important parts of being a creator. You gotta make stuff, but also don't get fucked. So I have 10 things. 5 of them are practical, 5 of them are philosophical. We're gonna go back and forth. Here's our first practical tip. 2 years, no more than 2 years, no contract lasts more than 2 years, but really, ideally, just 1. Things change very fast. Your career will change very fast. The internet changes very fast. Signing up for a thing that lasts 2 years is not like, it's like a 20-year contract 5 years ago. It's too long to be involved, and I, as a person who signs contracts with creators, like as in a merch company or we're co-producing something with them, I want these contracts to be as long as possible because maybe they're going to get much bigger, and I want to be there when that happens and benefit from the thing that happened. But if you're looking at a contract that is longer than 2 years, especially if it's like got the phrase in perpetuity in it, which is in America illegal, but they show up sometimes, that's huge warning flags, and you really need to be very sure of what's going on. Now we've got a more philosophical one. Starting out, this is the most important part of any contract negotiation. People need to get this into their heads on both sides of the table. There is no winning and losing in a contract negotiation. You are trying to get to the point where both of you are benefiting. And if it doesn't feel like that to you, and if it feels like the other person on the other side of that table is trying to win, ideally, you walk out of that room. I've been in that room, and I know that person, and that is not what business is. If that's what business is to them, unless you are like that and you enjoy that kind of negotiation, which, I guess if that's your bag, then fine, but just leave. Just leave. It's not good to work with them. Practical tip: know who owns the thing that you're making, because this is the worst circumstances I've ever seen are when you enter into a contract and it feels as if you feel like, even though you probably read the contract and you know that you don't, but you feel like you own it. And so you act as if and you work as if you own the thing that you're making. But then 2 years comes back and then suddenly you're like, you know, actually it turns out that I don't own this wonderful thing that I've slaved over. This YouTube channel or these videos or this audience, it's not mine, and I can't control it, and they can do whatever they want with it and hold it over me and keep me in this contract. So if you start to feel that level of ownership over something, you either just got to check out and disconnect your brain from that, or you have to come to terms with the fact that you signed that contract. But when you're looking at a contract, like, ideally, you will own part of it, or you'll own all of it. There's all kinds of ways to do this, but no. Philosophically, you will have different times in your life where what you are producing and how you are perceived and what you are, sort of generating for yourself and for your partners is different. And so right now, you might sign a contract that's very good for you right now, and then in a year or 2 years' time, it won't be good for you anymore. But you made a bet that it was going to be better for you to have that contract than to not have that contract. And so you have to keep honoring that contract and recognize that value is in flux and that it could have gone the other way and you could have been not worth the bet. And in that case, you would have benefited more than your partner did. So remember that when you're a while into the contract and you're feeling like, am I getting screwed over right now? Well, no, your former self made a bet on how things would be right now in your life, and it turned out that they were different. And that's good because, like, ultimately, if you feel like maybe you're providing more value for your partner than you are getting in return, that's actually probably a good thing because it means you're growing really fast, it means things are going well for you, and also you didn't sign a contract that was longer than 2 years, right? Okay, because that was like earlier in the presentation. This is practical. Speak to someone else who has worked with these people. Just have conversations, find somebody else who has partnered with these people, talk to them. It's an easy one, but very practical, and you should do that whenever you're potentially going to have a partnership with somebody. Find somebody who's worked with them for more than a year and see what they think about that. I hear this all the time, but they work with this person. That doesn't matter. Sometimes companies give sweetheart deals to big creators for this specific reason, that it's like, well, if my friend works with them or this big YouTube creator works with them, then they must be a good company. But that probably is a good deal for that creator, but they are not going to be offering you the same deal that they're offering that person. So who they work with doesn't matter. The conversations and the relationship that you have with them directly matters. Sorry, that's not like a super entertaining keynote, you guys. I think I get across good, useful stuff. Read things. Understand contracts. I know it sucks. This is, by the way, tips and tricks for, like, the thing that everybody always says when it's like, get your lawyer. What? I don't have a lawyer. I have a lawyer. I've been doing this for 15 years. You don't have a lawyer. You can't do that. You can't. This is a list for people who don't have access to a lawyer, which most people don't. So this is on you, and it's like that's part of being a creator these days is that you are the CEO and the CFO and the bop. So yeah, I mean, you are gonna have to be to some extent your lawyer. And when you read something for the 12th time and it didn't make sense, go to the people who you are partnering with and say, what does this mean? Because I don't understand. And if they aren't willing to spend the time explaining your contract to you, are they going to be willing to spend the time helping you grow your business and do your thing? Maybe they're not worth working with. So read and understand contracts, even though they're long and boring and annoying, and highlight the parts that don't make sense and get them explained to you, because we all have brains that work. What's this one? Oh, yeah. A lot of times I see people sign contracts because they kind of want something to happen in their career. And they're like, well, this is like, it's been a while, I've been doing this, and nothing substantial or concrete has happened. But that is not a reason to sign a contract. That's not a reason to enter into a partnership. And I've seen a lot of people sort of give away money to feel like something is happening for them, or give away future revenue. And that is not a thing to do. Figuring out how we value ourselves and how we value our careers and what shapes success is to us and how to feel like what we're doing is on the path to success or is part of our success, that is a struggle. That is hard. But like, I don't think this is the way to convince yourself that you are on that path. I think that you have to convince yourself you're on that path by creating stuff that you're proud of and by having a relationship with your audience that is valuable for them and for you. not by having a relationship with a company that benefits them more than you, just so you can feel like something is happening in your career. This is a big one. Don't worry about hurting people's feelings. It's like you walk into a room and somebody asks you to do something, and they're like, hey, can you, like the toilet's clogged, can you go unclog the toilet? And you're like, oh, you just asked me to unclog the toilet? Really? But you're gonna do it. Because like polite thing to do is to do whatever somebody asks you to do. Just like that guy who's like always asking the favor, and he's like, hey, can you come pick me up? And you're like, I guess the polite thing to do is somebody asks you a favor, you don't say no, but it's a contract. It's a business relationship. They're not asking you a favor. Often, I feel this impulse all the time when I'm working with partners that I really like working with, and there's something that they're like, this is important to us, and I'm like, well, I kind of want to do it just like, because like, you're my bud, but it's not. Like, you have to imagine this thing as a business relationship. And you will, ideally, have personal relationships with these people as well. But when it comes to contract negotiations, like, leave their feelings at the door and, like, try to do the same for yourself. Don't make the mistake of saying, like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, and so I signed a contract. I've seen it happen, man. I maybe a little bit have done it myself, and surprisingly, like, common thing. This is one of the most difficult one. Philosophically, I have no idea how to actually do this, but try to understand your value, try to understand the value that your partner in this relationship is going to be bringing to you, understand what they see as your value, ask them that question, and then ask people who have worked with them, ask them, what is the value that they bring to you, so that you understand the conversation that you're having with these people. I just got a picture of a mountain. I hit the button too many times, you guys. Those are the 10 tips I got for you. It's really nice to see you. I still can't kind of really actually see you. I can see you right in the front. Hi, you guys. I had to move to the book now. So, we will always have these moments in our lives where our future self will ask, did my past self act in the best interest for future me with all the information they had available? And we should be able to say yes. And that is really the trick, because we're not like 100% trying to not get screwed. We're also trying to not feel like we got screwed. And so oftentimes, like, we can get into this I have like little notes here, but they're not for me. That's for sketchy. So yeah, we get into that mindset that, like, are we being screwed over? And it's such a terrible feeling. I felt it a lot of times, like everywhere from in business to like getting, scammed by a cab driver or something. But like, that feeling is really, really gross, and it can be really discouraging and put the brakes on people's creative careers. And I want to avoid that as much as possible. So sometimes it's really about like checking in with that thing that you did then, that decision that you made then, and being like, did I make a decision in my best interests for the information I had available at that moment? And you want to be able to say yes. And you want to be able to go back and look at the emails that you sent and understand why you sent them and understand why you went into the relationship that you went into. So you want to be nice to your future self. You want to be good to your future self. And you want to learn from the mistakes that I have made. So thank you all so much for coming to this event. Thank you for being creators and making great stuff. It is very lovely to see all of you. I hope that you have a lovely VidCon.